Take the time to observe and analyze your life, from childhood to the present moment. Identify the defining moments, the turning points that have shaped your journey. As you reflect on the years that have passed, ask yourself, has my life truly been meaningful? Has it been deep enough? The purpose of this reflection is not just nostalgia, but rather to help you make a new decision, to live meaningfully, to live deeply. Because if you don't, the days will continue to pass by empty and unfulfilled. Benjamin Franklin once said a famous quote, "Most people die at 30 but are only buried at 75. Why is that? Because from the age of 30 to 75, many people stop growing, stop evolving. They just work, get married, have children, and play dead, living without truly being alive. So take a moment to reflect. How many years of your life have passed? Have they been truly worthwhile? If not, it's time to rethink how you live and find a way to make your life more meaningful. Decide to become a person of depth and purpose. Anyone who has watched Nick Vujicic's videos will remember his powerful story. At just 8 years old, Nick had already begun reflecting on his life. Born without arms and legs, he had attempted suicide twice before the age of 8 because he found life too depressing and meaningless. However, at 8 years old, after deeply contemplating his existence, Nick made a decision to live again. From that moment of profound realization, he discovered a new meaning for his life. Think about it. If Nick, a man without arms or legs, could reflect and transform his life, then what excuse do we have not to do the same? If we don't reflect on our lives, we will never truly progress. The process of observation, analysis, and synthesis is a complete and transformative cycle. Observation is the starting point, allowing us to recognize patterns and events. Analysis helps us understand them more deeply. Synthesis is the final and most important step. Synthesis plays a critical role. Without it, we fail to recognize and correct our mistakes. Through deep reflection, we can determine where we want to go in the future. For example, if you have worked in a place for 5 or 10 years, take a moment to reflect. Has this place truly helped me grow? Is this environment truly worth staying in? Does it bring meaning to my life? Or is it just a way to earn a paycheck? If it's just a paycheck to get by, then switching to a new place is always an option. Even if the new place also only provides a paycheck to get by, at least it offers a new opportunity, a chance to find a better or more meaningful environment. Instead of staying stuck in the same place for the sake of comfort and security, dare to change. Don't let life pass you by without reflection, because that would truly be a tragedy. This slide has helped many people reflect deeply on their lives and from that reflection choose a new direction. Our lives go through many stages where we must make important decisions, and today I want to share with you 2 critical stages. The first stage happens when you are in your mid-20s, just stepping out of university and working for a year or 2. This is the moment when you must decide on a career path. However, this decision is still relatively shallow compared to the long journey ahead. It is merely about establishing a career. By the time you reach 35 to 45 years old, after you have settled into your career and stabilized your life, you will face another realization. It seems that having a career is not enough. Work must have some meaning. This second stage is much more challenging. Out of 100 people, perhaps only 5 to 10 truly enter this stage. The remaining 95% get stuck in the first stage, completely swept away by their careers and family responsibilities. Very few people ask themselves, how does my career contribute to the meaning of my life? Instead, most people only ask, how much money can this career make me? And because society glorifies money, we believe that making more money equals success. We rarely question this belief. Is making a lot of money really something to be admired? Think about this. The people whose faces appear on money are never those who spent their lives chasing money. Have you ever seen a billionaire's face printed on a banknote? Number. But those who are on banknotes are great individuals who did not chase wealth. This is a fundamental truth about money that few people ever consider. Curious about this, I decided to go back and read classical wisdom to see what the ancients had to say. The modern definition of wealth is all over the place. Some say it's about money, others say it's about the soul. But in reality, spiritual wealth is just borrowing the word wealth to sound good. Instead, we should talk about being a person of depth, character, and virtue. The word wealth is typically associated with material possessions, things that can be seen and touched. Try searching for what Jesus Christ said about money, what Buddha said about money, or what great Western philosophers like Socrates said about money. Scour the internet, and you will realize that the greatest minds in history rarely talked about money or career. Because money and career are merely vehicles. They are just means to help you navigate life. It's like a bus ride from here to Saigon. If this bus isn't available, you can take another bus. If there's no bus, you can take a bicycle. If you don't have a bicycle, you can walk. You will still reach your destination. That's why great minds do not concern themselves with money. In society, we can classify people into 4 levels. Entrepreneurs. They talk about money all the time. Famous figures. They start talking about higher values. Great individuals, rare and make extraordinary contributions. Saints, the highest level, honored by all. We are ordinary people, and naturally, we only look up to those slightly above us, such as entrepreneurs and famous figures. But are they really above us? Not necessarily. They may have more money, but their hearts may be poorer than ours. If chasing money makes you a worse person, then from a universal perspective, you are actually going down, not up. Even if from a financial perspective, society might say you're getting better. Do you know how great minds have reflected on wealth? We often observe, analyze, and synthesize different aspects of life. But what about money? What conclusions did they come to? When I explored the scriptures, I found that the Buddha did speak about this topic, though not extensively. Someone once asked him, "Who is the wealthiest person?" Do you know how the Buddha answered? He said, "The one who knows contentment is the wealthiest of all." He never defined wealth by the size of a bank account or the amount of gold one possesses, because no matter how much wealth you accumulate, there will always be someone richer than you. No matter how big your fortune is, someone else will always have more. So if we define wealth by money, there can never be a wealthiest person. Instead, the Buddha gave a profound definition. Contentment is the highest form of wealth. Imagine this. You earn $2,000 a month and live in a beautiful home, but you keep looking at your neighbor. He earns $4,000 and owns 2 homes. Do you feel happy or unhappy? If your desires are limitless, then surely you will feel unhappy. One day you finally own 2 houses, but then you look at your boss. He owns 10 houses and doesn't drive a car anymore, but flies in a helicopter. You feel frustrated again. If you never know contentment, you will never stop chasing. No matter how much money you earn, you will never be richer than a nation. No matter how powerful a business is, it can never surpass a country's economy. Yet the Buddha, who once had control over a kingdom, gave it all up to seek enlightenment. Now let's look at Jesus Christ, a figure revered in the West. Have you ever watched films about Jesus? What do you notice? In the 3 years that he traveled and preached, his only possessions were a robe and a staff. And yet, why is the entire Gregorian calendar based on his birth? Why does the world celebrate Christmas, Easter, and New Year's Day, all in relation to him? Have you ever studied the lives of these great figures? They owned nothing. The only thing they did was spread wisdom and unconditional love. In Christianity, this unconditional love is seen as the greatest virtue, paired with deep wisdom. Without understanding, you cannot teach. When you share knowledge, you encounter different people, and if you lack understanding, you cannot communicate effectively. That is why you must reflect deeply. You must synthesize lessons from your own life, from the lives of saints and great minds, and even from those who failed. Because understanding failure is just as important as understanding success. When you compare both extremes, those who failed and those who reached greatness, you will see the path you should take. Learning in school is not enough. You must self-educate and reflect, because that is far more important.